So it's all to play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hi, villains. that was brilliant. I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was an absolutely smashing game. So much so that I completely forgot to set up my camera there just before I went live, and I was feverishly trying to find it because otherwise you would have only seen a view of my ceiling there as I came on afterwards. I don't have Paddy for this, but how's everyone doing? Is it fair to say that everybody's happy? Let's look at a few comments that we've gotten in there. It's happy days. Enjoyed the performance there from Broken 394 as well. Yeah, absolutely. I love seeing it as well. Jacob Ramsey was by far and away my favorite player on the field today. Thought he did some really, really grown-up things. Stuff we didn't see from the Campbell last week, and it's going to be really interesting to see what way the statistics pan out for him. I know at halftime he'd given away the ball 3 times, which was the most of any Villa player, but he was trying to make things happen. He was tackling hard in midfield. His positioning was really good. Himself and I know himself and Douglas Luiz getting played through, and that is a fair comment to make. In the first 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes. But I think they just bossed it after that. You know, Newcastle had nothing. They had no answer for anything. And once, even before Danny Ings scored the goal, I think Villa were much, much, much more in control of the game. A 3-man of the match is allowed, says Josh Norris. Mings was immense. Yeah, apart from the very first really, really strange situation where Callum Wilson, not even looking at the ball, just runs into Tyrone Mings, then continues his run on and botches that finish. That was really strange at the start of the game. But apart from that, he was really good. Marshall St. Maxim really well. There was one instance in the first half as well where he just pulled his jersey back for no reason. But apart from that, he can't fault Mings. I thought he was really, really good today. And I thought the whole back four I thought were really good. And I thought they grew into the game, save for the early initial couple of chances that Newcastle had. Ings is worldly. Let's talk about that. Guys, we don't see set pieces in Aston Villa land. We certainly don't. 2 goals today were as a direct result from set pieces. And I'm not talking about the penalty being an actual set piece, but we got the penalty based off a set piece. Was it McGinn, I think, delivered in the ball, and then the ball was headed back across by Konza, and Tyrone Mings was positioning himself there between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. And wonder, does Austin McPhee have anything to do with that? Not 100% sure, but that was where the penalty came from. And Ings worldly was great because long throws are such a great. They're such a great. What am I trying to say here? Thing to have within your team. So why not use them, especially in a day like today when you've got an uncertain goalkeeper like Woodman, and you have a wet day. You know, so dry off the ball, get it in there. The ball could slide off someone's head like it did to Tyrone Mings. And then next thing, Danny Ings just finishes with an absolute banger of a goal. Absolutely brilliant. And as you say, Jacob Ramsey, I think Jacob Ramsey will end up being man of the match. Thought it was such a composed performance from him. Thought it was such a mature performance from him. I can see as he gets older, I wasn't sure where he would play or where he would develop as he got older, but I'm almost 100% certain we're going to see him as a number 6 the more he goes through, more he bulks up, the older he gets. He's not afraid to throw his foot into tackles, and he can bring the ball out of defense, and his passing needs to get a small bit better, that's for sure. But, wow, I was impressed with him today. Absolutely impressed with him today. Luke Jones, John McGinn is a beast. He just doesn't stop moving. And I think, as I said before about John McGinn, is I think that some people see that as a negative because what he like in the Watford game, as I mentioned before, he spends a lot of time trying to make up for other mistakes that people have made, and he gets himself into that position just at the edge of the area, or just before the play breaks down, before the goal or something along those lines. So sometimes he's kind of like the last person on the scene before the ball goes in, and that's because of his work rate and his effort. But I think today really suited him. I think having Luis back there, and once again, Luis didn't do a whole pile today, but what he did was position correctly right on the edge of the centre circle and was able to patrol that area, and Jacob Ramsey did it as well. Really, really loved it. Thank God we brought in Ings, says Junior as well. Looks like a good decision. No, it looks like a better than good decision. You know, he's 2 goals from 2. One of them a worldie, one from the spot. You know, we've got 2 penalty takers at the club now, Anwar Ghazi and Danny Ings. So, you know, long may it continue that we start to get penalties and start to score them. 2 games, 2 penalties. Hey, I take 38 penalties this year, and if we got a penalty in every game, I wouldn't be disappointed with that. You know, we might as well start bombing into midfield, bombing into the box, try and get those penalties. And I think obviously Leon Bailey was injured in training yesterday. It looks like he felt a twinge in his hamstring. Don't know how long he's going to be out for, but when we get the band back together, I think that we'll definitely see the benefits of that. Josh, once again, when Dean got it wrong last week, he got right today. So excited for a fully fit team. That's exactly what I just said to my better half, who has absolutely zero interest in soccer, zero interest in Aston Villa, and just wanted me to leave the room so that she could basically get down on the floor and start playing with the dog and a teddy bear, and you know, making the dog bark, because I was giving out to the two of them I was giving out to the dog for barking during the match. So I basically said exactly the same thing. I said Dean Smith got it right in midfield today. The structure was very good. They had to do a lot of work to deal with the packed midfield that Newcastle wanted to play, because Newcastle wanted to play near almost 6 people in midfield to bamboozle any kind of attacking threat. But Villa coped with it really well today. They learned from West Ham last week, and as you say, I'm so excited to see a fully fit team as well. Bar one, Ramsey and McGinn played brilliant together. I can't agree more. I thought they were really, really good today. And I thought Ramsey straddled the 2 positions, the 6 and the 8, when he was asked to do it. I thought it was really, really impressive as well. Peacocker scam artist for not live streaming. I'm not based in the US, but I know what you're talking about when you say that. Rob Henry says the team worked hard for that one and earned the win. And I think they needed to, because they needed to prove to themselves that they were able to do it. And they also needed to prove it to 42,500 people that were in the stadium today. You know, that was absolutely great. The singing at the end, the Dino give us a wave, that we conquered all of Europe, the Villa boys from Aston, were the Villa boys making all the noise, the Super John McGinns. They're worth time. You know, they're worth you know, an extra 10 yards in a sprint, or an extra crunching tackle. You know, they get the team going, and it's just so brilliant to see it. And I'm as jealous as all hell that I wasn't there, because I'm giddy tonight. And you know, if this is a precursor to my weekend, I'll be the happiest man in Ireland if my other team I'm not going to turn this into a Limerick hurling stream again today, but if Limerick were to win the hurling match tomorrow, and for all of you guys who don't watch hurling, I think you should try and find a stream for it tomorrow, because it's going to be a banger. But anyway, this is brilliant, and I'm glad that the Villa fans were able to sing the team to victory. It's good to have that. Good to have 40,000 eyes on that today, considering last week's disappointment. Onwards and upwards here. Brentford went for a 0-0 draw in Crystal Palace today, and by all means, they just went to play anti-football. So let's get up Brentford. Let's give them a good welcome to Villa Park next week as well. Where am I going to? Rod Humble, up the Villa indeed, Rod. Thank you so much. Where are we going to here now? Very impressed with Ramsey. Sorry there, guys. This is brilliant. I'm seeing all the chats just popping in here. Very impressed with Ramsey. Coyne was immense. McGinn, he was immense. I'm going to say Ramsey was immense. Exactly. I agree with that. McGinn, I see it underneath. McGinn was immense. Oh, look who decided to show up. Paddy Kelly. I'm not going to ask you to come on, Paddy, because you're probably stuck inside in a tent and it's pissing rain where I am. So it might be true. So what a goal from Ings is right. For sure. No, Lee. No. Ban this man. Ban him from the stream. Actually, no, don't. We'll give you another chance. I'm only joking. I'm only joking. Sonny Teeling says, great to have Dougie back, and I mentioned it already there. I think so too. I think the stability of midfield, I'm going to be really interested to see when it's uploaded later on the two sites I look at to see where our average positioning was, to see if we've gone back to that tight diamond in midfield, or if we were a bit flatter. I think it's going to be a tight diamond, but I think we actually played maybe two number 8s or two number 6s today, and I'm going to be really interested to see that. But Douglas Luiz mightn't get on the ball an awful lot. Had a shot that kind of went a small bit wayward in the first half. He was in two minds whether to cross it or stick it in the top corner, but can't fault his effort today. Really, really can't. What did I think of Buendia? I was messaging Paddy during the game. I thought he went in and out of the game, and I thought when the ball came to him, he did work with it. But I thought himself and El Ghazi, specifically in the first half and for the start of the second half, I just thought they were MIA a small little bit. I don't think that they got through an awful lot of work, or as much work as I would like them to do. Saying that, I think they were asked to stay high and stay wide to try and force the fullbacks into doing some defending, or else force the back three to spread out a small bit more. So once again, it would be interesting. I'm loath to go in on him and say that I thought he had a poor game, because I don't think he had a poor game. I just thought that he didn't affect the game as much as I would have thought, but he got in the ball a couple of times in the first half. There was a flick from Konza, ball, I think it was Konza or Mings, ball came to him and like far at the back, just on the wing. He played a lovely ball into Douglas Luiz. Actually, it was for that one that Douglas hit over the bar. So there is something there. I just wonder how he was played tactically, and I'm going to be really interested to see that when I look back at it as well. Carl, the officials were rather nice. That's what it's like to be a Man United fan, I assume. Maybe in the second half they were. I thought in the first half it was a bit of a free for all. But yeah, it was like the penalty was fortuitous. The two VAR decisions absolutely went in our favor. Like, I'm not sure the penalty was a stonewall penalty. I'm glad we got it. I think it's a 50-50 considering the distance between the two players. And the other penalty that Emi Martinez gave away, like, I'd be fuming if I was a Villa fan and that was chalked off for that. I'd be absolutely fuming for that. And a couple of you guys actually mentioned, who was it there at the very start, Daniel mentioned, how did Martinez get booked when the penalty wasn't even awarded? It was bizarre. It was. I don't know what the rule is. I haven't looked it up or anything, but the stream I was watching, they mentioned that because the foul was still committed, you still get the yellow card regardless of whether the penalty was rescinded or not. It seems a bit strange because the play should have been halted, but I suppose it just stops kind of, if the referee blows their whistle, the play should have been halted. It stops the fella from going over and just punching someone, I suppose, and saying, can't do anything, play was over, the passage of play was over, you can't do anything about it now. I don't know. I'm waffling here. I've no idea why it doesn't be rescinded, but I could understand as well why it would stand, if that makes sense. Where are we here as well? Connor, how are they all in Brazil? Great win, looked really solid except for the crazy flying Argentinian, but a great 3 points. Exactly. And Callum says Ramsey was man of the match. Absolutely, speaking my language there, Callum. Josh again says it was vintage Villa from the Dean era. Grind, still hoping Bailey Ollie and a settled Buendia will help creating possession. Yeah, I think, actually, to be honest with you, the only negative I have from today is the fact that we found out that Bailey was injured. That's the only negative, and I'm hoping we get good news on that. Yes, we've got Brentford next, but it would be nice to have Bailey in training for those 2 weeks for the international break that's coming up. Is it 2 weeks, maybe a week? I'm not 100% sure, but the international break, there is talks that we will have our new coach hired for that before that period, and they will be in place before the Chelsea game after the international break. But it would be nice to have a lot of our players ready and firing prior to the international break so that we can hit the ground running, number one, and number two, it'd be nice to stay in the long grass for Chelsea. They owe us one after us beating them at the end of last season, but it'd be nice to kind of keep our hoodoo over them as well. So the Bailey thing for me is probably the only negative I can find from today. Sonny asks, what's the difference from last week? The difference was our midfield structure. The fact we didn't go flat in midfield. We went with more kind of defensive midfield, and Jacob Ramsey, to be honest with you. Jacob Ramsey was a huge difference. He didn't get a ton of ball, that's fine, and I could see why maybe that wasn't great. He plugged up passing lanes. He tackled. There was one tackle in the first half, and I can't wait to watch it back again. It looked like nothing, but he came from behind and just wrapped his leg around, and the way he tackled the ball actually just landed straight to McGinn. It was nice. I'd like to see more of it. Passing was a bit wayward at times, but very composed performance from him today, I think. Incoming towel sponsorship to fund the new DM. Yeah, that's the most I've seen a towel at Villa Park now in a long time from Matty Cash's throws. And this is a fair point as well. Comfortable, but very little creativity in show. Wouldn't like to have to chase it with that team today. Loads of ammo to come through, to come though, thank God. That's a fair point, Sean. And I think the conditions probably played into that an awful lot. And also, we didn't have an out ball of a long ball forward like we would if Watkins was there. So trying to play it through in midfield with, like, they pack 6 into the midfield. They play 3 at the back, 6 in around that middle third. I know Sam Axon plays a small bit forward, but he does come back to try and pick it up in midfield. So there are 6, but there's lots of bodies in there, and the creativity can be difficult. I think there we did have to rely on a lot of crosses in from either side, and I don't think that suits us. But win's a win, and we got our 2 goals. And as I said in the tantrum, we were looking for I would have been okay with an agricultural performance and for 1-0 win. We got the agricultural performance, but we got a 2-0 win as well, because I thought we tackled well and we defended pretty well as the game wore on, which was good. This is excellent. I'm a Canadian, just became a fan of Aston Villa a week ago. Pretty good game for my first time watching. You've to stay a fan, Ryan. If you just became it a week ago, I hope it was maybe on Sunday after the Watford game. Then we need you around, because you're a good luck charm, buddy. You're a good luck charm. But welcome to the Villa family, and thanks a million for dropping in, because it's I don't know how you found us, but that's cool. That's really nice. And there's a massive Villa fraternity in Canada. If you're in Toronto, I'm not even going to name all the places where they are, but if you go on the Villa website, you can see where all the fan groups are. And also you've got Pete, the Canadian Villa fan, on the Holy Trinity podcast. He's Canadian. He's based in British Columbia. I hope he's not watching, because I may have that one wrong. But I think he's based there. So there's quite a big fraternity of Villa fans in Canada. Great to see you. VAR and referees still awful. We'll wait for that, Paddy. We'll wait for you to come back onto the pod on Monday, and we'll give you a full 2.5 hours to talk about the ref if you wish. That's absolutely brilliant. What else have we here? Danny Bings take a bow. Absolutely. Bundia was impressive today, linking up, paying, pressing. I don't know. I just say I could be wrong on it. I found it hard to pick him out there. But look, as I say, I don't think he was bad. I don't think he was bad at all. But I'm looking forward to look back on it again, just to see, because I very much will say that I was very much watching Ramsey and hoping, my fingers and toes crossed, that he would have a good game, and he really, really did. Where was Bailey? Joe, we mentioned there, he picked up a slight hamstring strain in training yesterday after the press conference, so that's why he wasn't there at all. Match of the day is correct. Going to enjoy match of the day. Well, we'll probably still be last on match of the day. Actually, I'd be surprised if Crystal Palace and Brentford wasn't last, judging on the way the games went today. But you never know. They like to put us on last on match of the day anyway. That's one of the perks of being back in the Premier League. I suppose being to play last, which is, in my view, is terrible disrespect to the great club of Aston Villa. There's more people saying they hope Cork will win. I'm telling you, don't be putting me in bad form. Don't be putting me in bad form. Sorry there, guys. I'm losing the chats. There's so many of them coming in. It's absolutely excellent, guys. If you like this stream, I'd love if you could give us a thumbs up on the stream. Subscribe to the stream to us on YouTube if you like. Give us a follow on Twitter, whatever. Costs you nothing, but I just love having a crack with all Villa fans after games, before games, during games, whatever. It's all part of the process of being a Villa fan abroad, and we can all have our little love-ins together, while all the fortunate people get to go to the stadium. But we will be there at some stage. Paul, you mentioned the 3-0 prediction. Midfield was immense. Yeah, it was 2-0. It could have been 3-0 if El Ghazi whipped in across there at the end. And I thought it might actually make its way all the way into the net, but unfortunately it didn't. Clean sheet as well, guys. Yeah, Rod says clean sheet as well is huge. It absolutely is, because our defense is built on confidence, I think, and to keep a clean sheet is for me is very, very important. Very important too. Shane, great call as well. Young adds great leadership at the back and in attack as well. He knows when to slow it down and when not, just to cross it in for the sake of it. There was a very good example of that in the second half when he stood up Murphy, I think it was. He stood him up, and Young was just literally waited, and he could have took him on and bombed onto the box. We were 2-0 up at this stage. He just waited. He kind of jinked left, jinked right, and then he came inside. I think he might have given it inside down where El Ghazi afterwards, but he kind of held it up in that position and I know he allowed Newcastle to come back, but also we were 2-0 up. He allowed us to get set in an attacking formation as well within the box, whereas if he just crossed it in, it was 3 against 1 in a disadvantage to Ings. So, like, you know, leadership for him, I think, definitely goes both ways. Yes, Paul, why didn't anyone tell us the Paddy Cash of the ball patch? I don't think he did, though. I don't think he did. I think he had. I'm not far off him myself, so you can't really see it there, but I'm developing a bit of a sunroof somewhere on the back. But Matty Cash, the rain, it was the way he had his hairband today in the rain, I suppose, like that. It just pulled all his hair forward. But I won't have any slander about Matty Cash's ball patch. Here's a good one as well from Callum. Interested to see Tuanzebe at the defensive midfield. Yeah, I don't think we'll see him there full time. I think more or less he probably came in more in the back three to kind of kill off the game. But I didn't pay much attention to really where he was. I was just delighted to see him get game time. Although, albeit at the behest of my beloved Courtney House, I'm okay as long as we're winning. You know, I'm okay as long as we're winning. But that actually makes me think maybe he did come in and play more in a more defensive midfield role, because you would think the Courtney House potentially would be the first one to come off the bench if they were to go to 3 at the back. But look, once again, I'm just delighted to see him get minutes. It's both of them are very, very capable defenders, and long may it continue to Aston Villa have a good stable of centre halves like that. There's more in here about Matty Cash losing his hair. I don't know. I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to tempt fate, as I say, because the follicle gods are not being kind to me recently. They're not being kind to me recently at all. Jacob Ramsey was superb. That performance totally dictated our pace. I bloody loved him. Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm purposely picking out Ramsey comments at this stage because I think he deserves all the praise in the world for his game today. I thought he was fantastic. Guys, I'm so blown away by all the comments. The comments are coming thick and fast. Sorry there, guys, if I'm missing out on anyone's comment. But yeah, that's an interesting one there, Mike, as well. No card for simulation is bizarre. It's either a penalty or simulation. What other option is there? I 100% agree as well, especially when VAR got involved, and you could see it in the screen. He wasn't within a foot of it. You know, like he came nowhere near tackling him, and he pulled out of it completely. And I think that was a bit of a cop out. But I think David Coote was caught up in the cacophony of sound or the moment or whatever for definitely the first 15-20 minutes of the first half. I thought he lost control of the game completely, to be honest with you, and at that very moment it could have spilled over into a full straight out punch out, because like when Young started roaring at Murphy when he was on the ground, you know, that was it could have got ugly at that stage. But no, all's well that ends well indeed. Young very savvy in defense. Young did well at the back. Absolutely. Please be careful with all toddlers when Danny Ings scores overhead goals, please. CDG 5805 scared my toddler when that overhead filth went in. I'm in love with Danny Ings. We're all, I think, collectively in love with Danny Ings at the moment. Charlie asks, do you think Ings keeps his place for Brentford? If Target gets fit, I would start him. in the moment, I'm going to say Target has to take a spot on the bench and maybe comes back in after the international break, because then we'll know he will be fit, and I think potentially Dean Smith then he will be fitter after the international break, should I say. But I think Dean Smith might stick with Young. I think he might not for the season, but just might stick with Young for the Brentford game. He doesn't like to change a formula that works. I don't think he likes to change a formula that works. But it's an interesting battle. Look, it's better to have two good people there than have no good people there, so fair play, to Dean Smith for bringing in competition in there to drive on Matty Targett. And look, somebody said, I know Matty Targett's off-season wasn't he in a boot for like 6 or 7 weeks as well? He had to have some operation in his leg, or he had some injury in his leg, didn't he? And he was in a boot for a while, and so he had a truncated off season. So no, by no means are we throwing him out with bathwater here. It's just a case of, when you have the short possession is 9/10 of the law, potentially. Excellent. No, guys, thank you so much for coming on here to listen to me ramble and to give me some comments to talk about, because it's as I say, I would have been sitting down on the couch there and I would have just been shaking with excitement and no one to talk to. So this has been really good. It's been really, I was going to say cathartic, but can it still be cathartic if you're are there any language scholars out there? Can it still be cathartic if you're in a good mood, or is cathartic, or is the phrase cathartic only associated with negative feelings? Anybody knows that, DM me, because I'd be interested in the semantics of that word, if that is the case. I like this one as well. Wilson was a grub today, top from Villa. Yeah, he still hasn't scored against Villa in like 5 games or 6 games, I think it is now. So we still have that streak over him, and we still have that streak over them at Villa Park. They still haven't scored since 2013, and Aston Villa scored 2 goals in 2 goals in their last 5 games, and I think that's the first time they've ever done that. Just quite, we came out on the right side of all those statistics that people mention during games that usually mean the complete opposite is going to happen. We came out on the right side of those. We came out on the right side of the scoreline. We came out on the right side of Callum Wilson not scoring and scoring 2 goals or more in, I think it's 5 games for the first time ever in the Premier League. 5 consecutive games for the first time in the Premier League. I think that is. I'm going to try and answer this question just because. Why are chip bags different in Ireland than England? Because our chips are greasier and they need a stronger reinforced bag. That's what I'm going to go with. And in England, they use newspaper sometimes. We don't really use that in Ireland, because we don't like the print being on our chips sometimes. But I would still murder a bag of chips and chips and newspaper now. So that's why I think open to correction. Cathartic is the relief of negative emotions. Excellent, perfect. This is fantastic. This is like a general Q&A. Never mind Aston Villa related. Excellent. Well, we might keep it so. Love this after game podcast as it's more you and the fans rather than a discussion with one other person, even though that is good as well. Well, like, this is just me being absolutely super giddy and excited because I'm going to hop into the car. I'm going to see a load of my mates after this. I'm going to take an hour's journey, going to see a load of my mates, and going to have a few pints as well. So this is me just being giddy for the whole way this weekend is going so far. So I'm usually overly positive, but this is me kind of like, this is what I imagine I'm kind of like if I was to drink 4 or 5 Red Bull in a row and then just be let loose on society. I'd imagine I'd be like this if that was the case. Excellent, guys. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm gonna cut it at this because I know all of you guys probably want to go and celebrate, or you've spent a lot of time watching the game. And we've coming up in a half an hour. I was only going to pop on for 10 minutes, but this has been really great. I don't know how many more of these I'm going to be able to do, but I'm going to try and do as many of them as I can. We'll get Paddy on as well. We'll go down through your comments and see what you guys have to say as opposed to us doing all the talking. Like, there's only so much we can react to from an emotional point of view after a game like that. It's always great after a win. I'll definitely be doing them after wins anyway. After losses, I might be a bit more coarse. So we'll see about those. But thanks so much, guys, for everything you do. Really love that you guys are enjoying what we're doing with the podcast recently. We're going to be back with a tactics view, some still shots, maybe some views of how the midfield set up, especially. Maybe look at how Danny Ings worked in the game. They're just some of the things that kind of come to mind. The spacing of the two centre halves is something I'm going to be really interested in as well, considering they're only playing against one up top. So let's see how that goes. And we will be back to chat to you guys on Monday ahead of the game then as well against Barrow on Tuesday. Thanks a million for everything you do. Really appreciate it. And all that's left to say is up the Villa.